The domestic runway 18 left 36 right of the Murtala Mohammed Airport in Lagos has reopened for flight services 4 months after it was closed by the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria. 14 years after the government first planned an upgrade, the runway now has airfield lighting installed, giving room for operations beyond sunset and perhaps improving cost benefits to carriers. The reopened runway and its economic benefits to local operations is the crux of the program. Plus, Ibom Air takes delivery of 2 new aircraft as it continues to expand its fleet. That's a preview of the program. Welcome on board Aviation this week on Channels Television. I'm Bukola Ju Ukitumbi, and our flight is set for takeoff.
This is what the domestic runway looked like in July 2022 as rehabilitation work commenced and local flights had to taxi to the international airport to take off, a decision the helmsman of FAN said was critical.
To all our stakeholders, the airlines, a lot happened and you bore with us through this difficult time. In fact, it was so bad that after almost 15 years, people were tending to believe the status quo should maintain. We had to push and annoy some stakeholders to close this runway so that we can make it back to operation 100%. We thank them for their understanding and support. It is very important.
About 4 months after, the airside here is packed and busy as aircraft land and also take off. The rehabilitation done and dusted, the 2.7-kilometer long runway 18L 36 hours approach lights, runway lights are working after 14 years of neglect.
Over the last 14 years minimum, a major component of that complement, and that is the 1/8 left airfield lighting, was down and deficient for over 14 years. This made the airport lose a very important part of its functions, versatility and efficiency. We have delivered on yet another very critical milestone. It's not an easy milestone. Achievements come and go, but I believe in aviation, no achievement comes bigger or better than enhancing your airfield capability. This MMA airport, Murtala Mohammed Airport, was conceived and developed with a full complement of landside and airside facilities to ensure operational flexibility, versatility, and efficiency in the interest of safety and security and our own compliance with the standard and the recommended practices.
FAN had on July 7, 2022 shut the 2.7-kilometer long runway 18L 36R for repairs, with a promise to reopen it within 90 days. But it took the agency over 120 days to reopen the facility for use. After the installation of the new aids, the runway would operate both sunrise and sunset flights, which would further ease the burden of operators.
The Minister of Aviation, Senator Hadid Sirika, has been speaking not only about the upgraded runway, but also on the planned demolition of existing Lagos offices of some aviation parastatals. He begins by saying the domestic airport runway upgrade now gives room for improved safety and airport efficiency. There's more from him.
We in this administration under Buhari in aviation, we are focused on all of those safety critical items and security items to which our passengers and airport users don't often see. Nothing worries the passenger about whether you have an instrument landing system or you have a VOR that guides you or you have any other equipment that tells you about weather. They honestly don't know, and it's not their concern. But our concern is how safe and secure and efficient you depart point A and land at point B. This particular runway, the rehabilitation of the runway itself, the airfield lighting systems, the center line, the edge, the approach, and all of them, are things that speaks to 3 fundamental issues. One is the issue of safety. 2 2 is the issue of efficiency of the airport. And 3 is how efficient also are our airlines in terms of cost savings and operational comfort for them. So this is a very, very important item, and I was on the runway. The riding quality was good. The approach line was perfect and super. We came in and we met lots of reports, including PricewaterhouseCoopers, IOS, and all of that reports, Paul Dickey and what have you. We put them together early in 2016, and we rolled out our roadmap. And the unions at that time formed majority part of the stakeholders that were there. And we rolled out our roadmap, which included concession, the national carrier, the cargo, the aviation university, the MRO, the leasing company, and so on. This chaos, all of this, please, is what it is that you want for an aerotropolis, which is part of the roadmap. Don't you want a rail link between the old domestic terminal and the new international terminal? Don't you want that? Don't you want better structures where there are cinemas, there are spas, there are shopping malls, there are resting areas, there are banks, there are airline offices, and a befitting headquarters for Lagos? Do you want to keep going to Dubai and coming back and say, wow, these people have done wonderful? Do you want to keep going to Ghana and using your phone and saying, come on Ghana, see Ghana, come on Ghana? Is that what you want? Given the chance, I will demolish all the headquarters. In fact, I told somebody that I am going to demolish from where Arik used to be, Nigeria Airways, all the way to police, to aero contract, to Bristol, and demolish everywhere and put something that is befitting of Lagos. Come on, this is Lagos, the A state. This is our premier airport. When I came in as minister from 2015 to 2019, the first time, as Minister of State overseeing civil aviation, I embarked upon 154 projects, and at least 40% of them were started by somebody. And out of 154, I delivered 137. These new Lagos, new Abuja, new Port Harcourt, new Kano, we made it at 10%. Some of them less than 10%, with lots of challenges, including foundation, lack of sewer, lack of water, lack of electricity in the plan, and distorting the master plan of those airports. In the spirit of our President Muhammadu Buhari, he said that, okay, I wanted to abandon them, give to private sector to finish, and get their money from it. He said, no, go and finish. We finished it and delivered it 100%. Therefore, so long as you put in place the mechanisms to ensure that whoever comes cannot reverse, cannot go back, then you are guaranteed that it will succeed.
Ibom Airlines has received 2 Airbus A320-200 aircraft at the airport in Uyo, the Akwa Ibom state capital. The delivery is part of plans to continually increase its fleet.
His Excellency.
The aircraft were procured from Jet Airlines, operating as JetSet, a European aircraft leasing company, on a 1-year wet lease agreement. According to the airline, the wet lease agreement is a stopgap measure undertaken to meet current demands and accommodate growth, while awaiting the deliveries of our 10 brand new Airbus A220-300 aircraft, an order that was firmed up in November 2021 at the Dubai Air Show. With this new capacity, the airline is set to increase its offerings while providing more frequencies for passengers' convenience.
Ibom Air has reached a stage that we have to continuously add to the fleet of Ibom Air. This time we have teamed up with one of the best aircraft lessors in Europe, Jet, to acquire these 2 aircraft that you can see. This, of course, will improve our capacity and is coming with proper premium seats and a 150-seat capacity. So we have enough space for everybody and for the support that we have enjoyed from Akwa Ibomites and Nigerians. We have brought this in time so that this festive period, we are going to have enough seats to carry everybody to their various destinations for Christmas.
Strengthening bilateral relations between the government of Niger Republic and Nigeria in the area of protection and repatriation of victims of trafficking is a call to action for both countries. This is because many of the migrants who attempt to cross the Sahara Desert to any of the North African countries are deported to Niger Republic as the point of first departure.
From NAPTIP, the message from NAPTIP is parents should not allow their children to be deceived. They should not allow themselves to be deceived by suspected traffickers that are hiding under the canopy of being helpers to their children and allow them to traffic their children abroad or within the country to be exploited. Parents should also be, children should be contented and parents should be contented. We are not saying they should not travel abroad, but when they are traveling abroad, they should ensure that they have their complete documents, proper documents.
To cater for direct needs of victims of trafficking in Nigeria, the International Center for Migration Policy Development and NAPTIP have organized a medical outreach and one-day capacity building of first-line responders. Here in Lagos, an official of one of the agencies addresses returnees.
Memorandum of understanding that has been signed between the two countries, and in the course of the implementation of operationalizing this memorandum of understanding, the project has seen 5 technical working groups head in these two countries. And from the last joint technical working group that was held in Lagos in May 2022, which gave rise to the activities that we are here today. Protection and repatriation, who is in charge of victims protection, the care, and all, brought us on through the NAPTIP and NLTP because it's a joint activity. And the essence of this, when NAPTIP and NLTP propose this activity, is to ensure that the well-being of these children while they are in shelter is well maintained, and we have a better understanding as to their general well-being. And we don't want any of these victims to be traumatized. And that is why we're putting all of this together, to give them a life that is enjoyable, so that they don't have to be reminded of the orders that they.
Victims are also provided welcome packs to ensure that their self-esteem is restored. Some of those trafficked share their story.
I was there based on sexual harassment and trafficking about my sister to Libya.
Can you share your experience with us?
Actually, my experience with NAPTIP, yes, they are doing their work. It's okay.
I traveled out to Mali through those human trafficking. I spent like 1 month and 3 weeks here.
On the journey?
So how was the experience? Journey and the desert living.
Apart from the outreach, responders were also trained on topics such as protocol on identification, safe return and rehabilitation of trafficked persons, the national policy on protection and assistance to trafficked persons, as well as respecting the human rights of victims. This training is expected to impact positively on the lives of victims and stem the tide of trafficking.
With a dash of launchpad heroics and 4 million kilograms of thrust, NASA's colossal new rocket soared into space for the first time early mid-month, sending a next-generation capsule on a crewless voyage around the moon and back 50 years after the final Apollo lunar mission.
6, 5, 4-stage engine start.
Well, so far everything's tracking well. I mean, no real concerns. We take everything step by step. You know, we want to get a full test flight out of this, the full 25.5 days. We're going to be going 40,000 miles past the moon, getting into deep space, analyzing all the data from the anthropometric dummies on board, looking at the radiation environment. The most critical thing is going to be coming back home at lunar reentry velocities and getting a test of that heat shield on that skip reentry and making sure that it performs as it should before we put crew on board the Orion spacecraft.
The U.S. Space Agency's much delayed and highly anticipated launch from Florida kicked off Apollo's successor program, Artemis, aimed at returning astronauts to the lunar surface this decade and establishing a sustainable base there as a stepping stone to future human exploration of Mars.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The 32-story tall Space Launch System rocket blasted off from NASA's Kennedy Space Center at 1:47 a.m., piercing the blackness over Cape Canaveral with a reddish-orange tail of fire as crowd of spectators cheered and screamed. About 90 minutes later, the rocket's upper stage propelled the Orion capsule out of the Earth orbit and on its trajectory to the Moon.
Well, now, because we're inspiring a whole new generation of explorers. I'm a product of the Apollo generation. As a young midshipman at the Naval Academy, I had the privilege of seeing Apollo 13 launch. And, you know, that's what inspired me to a career in aviation and astronautics and actually ending up being an astronaut. And we're going to inspire a whole new generation, the Artemis generation. And this time, instead of, a bunch of white military test pilots, we're going to go as everyone, as the people of the United States of planet Earth. We're going to put the first woman on the moon, the first person of color. Everybody is going to be included. And I think to inspire a whole new generation. And the difference is we're not going for a 2 or 3 day camping trip. We're going back in a sustainable way. Longer periods of stays on the lunar surface. We're going to utilize the surface of the moon.
The 3-week Artemis, one mission entails a 25-day Orion flight, bringing the capsule to within about 97 kilometers of lunar surface before flying about 40,000 miles. That's about 64 kilometers beyond the moon and looping back to Earth. The capsule is expected to splash down at sea on December the 11th.
Our nation expects NASA to be leading the way, to be doing what we do. And I'm telling you that if you could have seen all the people that came out in the middle of the night to see this rocket launch, and it was so emotional. I was on console, and I left console and went up onto the roof of the Launch Control Center at T-minus 10 minutes to actually watch it and see it and feel it. And I've seen a lot of rocket launches, and it was an emotional event. What an amazing rocket we've built. The most powerful rocket ever, 8.8 million pounds of thrust with those 5-segment solid rocket motors and those 4 RS-25 engines. Absolutely amazing. And the team afterwards, to see the elation, the joy that they had in seeing what they worked so hard on being successful. Absolutely awesome.
This mission marks the first flight of the combined SLS rockets and the Orion capsule together, built by Boeing Co. and Lockheed Martin Corporation, respectively, under contract with NASA. It signals an ambitious change in direction for NASA's post-Apollo human spaceflight program after decades focused on low Earth orbit with space shuttles and the International Space Station.
Cargo transportation is a very crucial segment of the Nigerian aviation industry and by extension its economic development. As at 2020, air cargo accounted for 35% of the movement of goods worldwide, and the International Air Transport Association recorded $6 trillion as airlines' contribution, out of which air cargo generated $111 billion. To push the frontiers of agricultural products moving by air, the Ogun State government began the construction of its cargo airport in the Peruremo area in 2021, a facility that was first initiated in 2007.
Since the governor of Ogun State came on board, one of his programs was economic prosperity, individual prosperity for the people of Ogun State. And this project was identified as one of those enablers that can lead to economic prosperity in Ogun State.
While the 5,000 square meters of land housing the airport is a construction area, the 4-kilometer runway is 85% complete for the Category E class airport.
The runway overall is 4 kilometers in length. Its total width 60 meters. So the main runway itself is 45, shoulders on both sides 7.5 meters. At the end of the runway, where you have the concrete turning part, you saw the thickness, the quality of the work ongoing.
The runway is not the only infrastructure receiving attention. The control tower and fire station are also under construction, with the government's focus on building an aerotropolis.
The control tower is a 5-level control tower. We are now on the 3rd floor. So everything is being put in place to make it a unique control tower. Oh, it's going to be, there'll be a lot of construction going on. They work around the clock. And on the other side is the passenger terminal. You've seen the cargo terminal also.
When the agro-cargo airport is commissioned later this year, it will be accessible through 6 locations, which includes the Lagos-Shagamu and Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, among others. Archer Aviation has unveiled its full-size electric flying taxi, Midnight, and hopes to bring the vehicle to commercial service by 2025.
We built our first demonstrator vehicle called Maker, which we've been flying in Northern California. And we've now announced our production aircraft, which we call Midnight, which we're going to be unveiling here this week. So we have partnered with United Airlines, who is very focused on seeing new forms of sustainable aviation come to market. And electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft are getting really close. So we are targeting certifying our vehicles with the FAA by the end of 2024 to launch into market in 2025.
The company aims to certify Midnight, a pilot plus 4-passenger aircraft, by year-end 2024, though the United States Federal Aviation Administration is still in the process of drawing up certification rules for these futuristic aircraft.
So who are we targeting? We're targeting anybody that uses rideshare service, would be targeting. It's, at the levels we'll certify with the FAA will be safer than driving. So you can have a safer flight, the same cost as rideshare, and instead of spending 60, 90 minutes in your car, you can get to the airport in 10 minutes.
Some weeks back, Archer and United Airlines announced their first airport-to-city center route between Newark Liberty International Airport and New York City. The service would use existing Manhattan heliports and would cost around $6 per passenger mile, less than the cost of a helicopter trip.
We're going to launch the service where there's existing infrastructure. And so today in Manhattan, there's 3 existing heliports. There's one at downtown, there's one on the west side, there's one on the east side. So we announced our first route in the downtown area. And so getting to market, like our go-to-market strategy really does rely on a lot of existing infrastructure. So it's not that we're targeting, a certain type of clientele. We're targeting anybody that takes rideshare. And so that's a lot of people.
Other locations under consideration by Archer for airport-to-city routes are Miami and Los Angeles. Once certified, the California-based startup's electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft will compete in a crowded market with dozens of other developers such as Joby Aviation and Vertical Aerospace vying to revamp urban transportation. The nascent sector, which is backed by industrial heavyweights such as Toyota and Delta Airlines, still faces significant challenges relating to certification, developing a suitable air traffic management system, and battery technology improvements, among others. That's all on the show today, and I leave you with this. Aviation is proof that given the will, we have the capacity to achieve the impossible. I'm Bukola Jokitumbi. See you next time.